Stations. It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome in, everybody, on this summery Tuesday. I've decided summer really is the season of waiting. We sit and we wait, right? We got to wait for baseball to really get interesting down the stretch, for positioning for playoffs. Now more teams get in. Used to be just 10 of the 30. Now you get 12 of the 30, so 6 from each league get in with the 3 division winners and the 3 wild cards. We wait for football. We got SEC Media Days. They'll be coming up sooner than you think. And then there's that just crazy stretch where you wait for the first Saturday in September, or the Thursday. Maybe sometimes that ends up in August. But you wait. The Tigers are going to be waiting for the IARP. We really didn't have a chance to get much into that yesterday. But we find out that in May, they had their hearing. We find out that it was contentious leading up to that hearing, that Memphis wanted several witnesses to be at these meetings, including Dr. Rudd, and the IARP Cold Case Committee that was in part of this investigation, which, by the way, Todd Shoemaker, who was their lead interrogator, as characterized by the former University of President, Dr. Rudd, they did not want him in. They did not want Dr. Rudd. They didn't want this economist that was involved. We find out Mike Oresco was there. We find out compliance, the former compliance person for the U of M, was to testify. This thing took place in an Atlanta ballroom. And leading up to it, I don't know what happened during it. That's pretty quiet. There were 150 pages of documents that came out of this whole thing that was presented during this hearing. But leading up to it, it was rather contentious. Shoemaker's no longer with the NCAA. Was he fired? I don't know. But I know he's not with them anymore. He's with a law firm in Orlando. Dr. Rudd, of course, was leaving anyway. There are some people that tie in all this stuff with Dr. Rudd's departure. Every conversation I ever had with the former president was that he was always going to leave after 10 years. That's your window. He's a little like a football coach. And basically he characterized it that every year you will I remember Tommy West saying you're going to make 100 enemies a year. So if you're there 5-6 years, they add up, right? And the president didn't characterize it that way. He characterized it as, over the years, there are some things that are even out of your control, but people point the finger at you about and don't like you for it. And usually your window's about 10 years. And I think the era that he had Memphis too was pretty darn impressive. I think he grew the school. There were a lot of achievements made with growth and with prestigious things in terms of research. And just look at all the cranes that have been on the campus during his tenure. I thought it was pretty darn impressive. But that era is over, and now you wait for the IARP and what will occur. All these people that make these guesses, and I've heard several. It's, certainly, if you look at the precedent, so what's the precedent? The precedent is one case that the IARP has actually settled since its existence was born. And what was that, 3 years ago maybe? Maybe 3 years ago? They've settled one case, NC State. That's it. This has been one of the most inefficient models that was put into place because the NCAA system of justice was bad. So this was going to be the answer, and in 3 years they've settled one case. Now Memphis will be next because I think everything is over with the exception of figuring out the final sentence.
Who were the other teams? It was Arizona and Kansas they were looking at too, or something like that.
LSU.
LSU,
LSU
yeah.
is in that mix. They have, I want to say 8 cases. They finished one, NC State. So here's the precedents that we know that have been set by this group in the one case. We know it took about, after the final hearing, we know it took about 4 months. They finished their thing in August, and they found out by December. So Memphis's hope is they had this thing in early May, that sometime in September, before the basketball season begins, they will know exactly what will occur. The second thing that seems to be a precedent out of all of this is that they don't want to punish the players that are currently with a team with postseason ban from the sins of the class before. In the case of NC State, they did not have the same coach. Mark Gottfried left. So Penny's not leaving. Maybe he'll be involved in some of the penalties therefore. But you tend to think, because of the precedent set in the one case, not a big sample size, that you're not going to get a postseason ban. That's the message I think we've gotten from this group in all the things that you've read. Now, does that mean Penny's going to get suspended for games? That seems to be the popular theory. I don't know where you get it from, but that seems to be the popular theory. And the other aspect is that you could lose scholarships.
It would have to be some kind of suspension from practice, too. Wouldn't you think, like a suspension from the team entirely? Or I guess he would still be allowed to attend practices and coach his team.
I have no idea. I'm just being totally honest, because there hasn't been a case that has had that sort of parameters that had to be set by this group. I don't know how long this group is going to be in existence. They'll probably settle these cases, and then the NCAA is going to go, well, how good was this? You know, they took forever. We could have done it in the same amount of time. So, and the lead investigator that they had picked is no longer with them. So I'm not so sure this has been a smashing success of trying to change and become more efficient with their judicial system. But we'll see. And I hope you know before the season begins. You know, there are some people, I mean, just putting 2 and 2 together here, that would say, well, you know, he's got a lot of scholarships available. Maybe he's holding those, thinking he's going to get a loss of scholarships, and if he does, he's already got them in place. He'll lose them right then and there. He'll swallow that painful pill, and that'll be it. You know, it may be, with the way they are working the transfer portal now, that you can do with less scholarships, because you're going to pick your experienced guys. All you really need are the 8 or 9 guys. Yeah, you want your 13. No coach is ever going to want to lose scholarships. I get that part. But do you know, with the way the portal's going, you're signing 1-year deals. Move them in and out. And the loss of a scholarship doesn't quite hurt as much, as it's not a 4-year investment anymore.
And you're far more certain when you have a transfer, like specifically Kendrick Davis, player of the year. You're far more certain with his ability than you are with an 18-year-old coming out of high school.
Well, you know what they can do.
That's right.
Yeah, you bring in a guy, and maybe a perfect example is Josh Minot. There's a guy with enough upside that he was taken 45th in the NBA draft, a guy who played, what did he average, 16, 17 minutes for the Tigers? He made all of 2 or 3 threes his entire collegiate career. He didn't play in every game but played in most, but wasn't a starter. Because when he got here, you saw all that athleticism, but he didn't have much experience. He played in a small high school league. He did not play AAU ball, and he was way behind on concepts, particularly defensive concepts. So as athletic as he was, he didn't really know the upper-level competitive game. And I'm not saying he's not making the NBA, because he certainly might, and he's a smart kid, and he'll learn. But there's a scholarship that, for sure, when he came in, you thought, okay, this guy is definitely going to be a starter, and he hardly played a lot.
Averaged 14 and a half minutes, 6 points, 3 rebounds.
There you go. I mean, and for a guy who just got taken 45th in the NBA draft, because they will go with upside. They will go with potential. And that's what you get with a guy that you're thinking is going to be a 3 or 4 year guy, right? But there's no doubt Kendrick Davis, who's the conference player of the year, is a player that knows concepts, that understands the way the game is played. So you get him for 1 year, you lose him, but okay, I know the next guy I get like that is going to know the game. So losing a scholarship that's renewable, every year if you're doing it that way is not as punitive as losing a scholarship to a guy that you might invest 4 years with. So I don't think it's quite as punitive. Maybe that is what he is holding that scholarship or these scholarships for. We still don't know. We're waiting. It's a waiting game. We're waiting on what will Alex Lomax do. That's going to be kind of fun to watch. Will he come and accept a role as a backup point guard? If so, wow. That is really going to be interesting to watch. Speaking of backup point guards, we're waiting for free agency, which starts on Thursday in the NBA. In fact, we'll talk a little bit about that with Pete Pranica, who will join us at 10:45. We'll talk about the picks. We'll talk about the first guy they traded up for. LaRavia. We'll talk about David Roddy. We'll talk about Kennedy Chandler. We'll talk about Vince Williams. We haven't really talked much about him. He's a two-way guy, though, right? I mean, he plays both sides. Guy from VCU. 49th pick. What do you really expect from the 49th pick? Because this is a whole lot different than the 45th pick with Josh Minot, right? He's taken on way upside. This is a guy who I believe was a 4-year guy.
Even different than Kennedy, for that matter. Another freshman that's taken late. That's kind of the two. It's either a guy who's played with a lot of experience or a young guy with a lot of upside. So
right.
I haven't even seen the kid play yet, but I'm interested to watch and see how he does.
And we'll see what will they do with Tyus Jones. What will they offer him? They got plenty of money if they want to go that route. And then he's got to make the decision, do I take a little less playing time, same money, and stay with a team that can win a title, or do I go to a place where I can be a starter and probably get the same amount of money, right? I'm guessing. We'll see what is going to happen there. I think the handwriting's on the wall that you can say goodbye to Anderson. Kyle is.
I love him.
Is good. I do too. He's really an interesting guy. It's his physicality and his wingspan that allows him to do things that other people with quickness level that he's got cannot do. So we wait on that. Right now, by the way, Wimbledon is on. Nadal on set in his first-round match. Did you see that Matteo Berrettini, who was the runner-up last year, out with COVID? Second guy, Marin Cilic, also tested positive. Berrettini could have won this thing. So since 2019, the Italian, Berrettini, his record on grass is amazing. I'm just going to – I know you have no concept, but just let's just play along with this. Since 2019, he's played 35 matches on grass. How many did he lose? Don't look it up.
2.
3. 32-3. He could have won this thing.
Easily could have won this thing. That's so unfortunate. I mean, you go through all the rigmarole of all this stuff, and you finally get there, and that's when you test positive for COVID. It could have come 2 weeks earlier, and you would have been just okay, but it comes at the most inopportune time, it seems like.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm interested in what happens at Wimbledon. I can't wait to see what Serena Williams will do. She's 40 years old now, and she hasn't really played in, a year and a half?
Yeah, that's about right.
Or maybe she got hurt last year at Wimbledon, a whole year, where she did in her hamstring.
That's right.
Now, she was playing some doubles, and I think her doubles partner got COVID, so they're out.
Not playing with Venus in doubles.
Well, Venus isn't playing.
Oh, that's right. Venus doesn't play.
Venus is like 42 or 43, and she had some sort of illness that sort of took away the end of her career. I want to say it was like, I don't know, some sort of digestive, immuno sort of ordeal. Are you looking that up?
I am. I also saw Coco Gauff won her match this morning. So if we're looking at Americans that are doing well.
Coco Gauff is starting to come on. And she's only, 17 years old now?
Very young, yeah.
She's just barely got her driver's license.
18.
18. Okay. She's coming on. Well, she won her first professional match at 15. So she's
That's right.
a 3-year veteran, for goodness sake. Big 12, the rumor is, and I meant to call Steve Ayers to see what the big cheese of the AutoZone Liberty Bowl thinks about the potential new commissioner. The rumors, Sports Illustrated is reporting, that Brett Yormark is going to be the new commissioner of the Big 12. I find this interesting, and certainly I'm not negative about it or faulting anybody for this, but here's where Brett Yormark, his experience comes from. He is from Jay-Z's Rock Nation, okay? So he has experience with global licensing, 15 years of experience with Barclays Sports and Entertainment, but no real collegiate sports experience. Think about the commissioner of the Pac-12, whose name escapes me at the moment. He was a television executive. So these new commissioners placed in Power 5 conferences are not from a collegiate athletic background. They are coming from sports, or television, entertainment, business, licensing, not necessarily collegiate athletics. Wow. So because sports is taking on much more of a business aspect, and they're getting the guys who are business experts to lead it.
George Kliavkoff is the commissioner of the Pac-12. Right. It says he was previously the president of entertainment and sports for MGM Resorts International, and in addition, like you said, working for as a television executive.
Yeah. First thing he did was try to get a better TV deal for the Pac-12. So
is this the new age of commissioners here? As
so.
Guys that are just business savvy?
It sure seems that way to me. The last two commissioners who have come in did not have college athletic backgrounds. I don't remember that ever happening. I mean, if you look, say Greg Sankey took over from Mike Slive. Mike Slive had been a commissioner at 2 other conferences. Mike's background with collegiate sports was as a lawyer fighting, either representing or fighting the NCAA, both sides. So he understood the way everything worked.
It's so interesting to see. I guess it's just the new age of
business.
Business. That's what it is, yeah.
And now you better know business because the NILs come into play, and big television dollars come into play, and licensing comes into play. Really interesting. But that is what is happening. Bob Bowlesby steps down. It looks like it's going to be Brett Yormark, who will be the new commissioner of the Big 12. Did you – I know he mentioned this. Did you see the fight between Seattle and Los Angeles?
One for the ages.
My gosh, that was like – it made me think for the first time, because usually these brawls, and we're going to talk with Tim Doolin in just a little bit about all this, and a great interview with Greg and Eli with the closer. I never realized, too, he's on the bottom of that dog pile. There's literally more than 1,000 pounds of weight on him. He said it hurt. But that brawl made me think, if you have 25 guys, right? Bullpens come out. You got 50 guys, and they are really PO'd at each other. You 4 umpires can't do a thing.
They were trying everything they could do.
They can't do a thing.
At first they were like holding people back, got in the middle of it, and then you saw them all just kind of step back, like, all right, I guess it's just gonna happen.
I thought that was crazy.
it seems like a real rivalry has been ignited. I mean, it seemed like people were actually legitimately upset. They've already played like 12 times this year or something, they said.
They've played a bunch. The night before, there was already a hit batsman. This was in response to a second inning when this thing happened.
Beginning of the game.
And now there's 12 suspensions from all that. 12. That's a brawl. That's a real melee. That was kind of neat. Oh, last thing before we take our break, and we'll bring in Tim Doolin. We'll talk about the Ole Miss baseball turnaround. Because from being the last team in, now I should clarify, and Eli pointed this out to me yesterday, they were a third seed. It wasn't like they were a WAC school, okay? Or a MEAC SWAC combination. No. This was a third seed and a team that was number one in the country to begin the year, or right around the beginning of the year. Didn't last long. Also, they were 7-14 in the SEC to start. So, but they were the last one selected, and there were plenty of people that didn't think they should have been in. That literally NC State should have been the team that was in. Mike Bianco and company obviously prove them wrong. But we'll talk with Tim Doolin about all of that. Last thing before we get to that, though, is I meant to bring this up when I was talking about the IARP. The wisdom of Penny Hardaway once again in action. So he had some guys he had to replace, right? I mean, Cody Topper was a great analytics guy. I thought he was a good teacher of shooting. You know, to this day, he's still at his school the all-time three-point shooter. He would, in warm-ups before games, sit in a corner and make like 98 out of 100 threes. That is crazy stuff. But he has slowly but surely filling these roles. Frank Haith, and now Faraji Phillips. And if you don't know who Faraji Phillips is, he's a good story. Faraji Phillips was the coach at Mitchell High School. He replaced Andre Turner. And what did he do? Well, I might be wrong about it. It might be that Turner replaced him. I can't remember the chronology here. Somebody knows, text us on the AutoZone text line, 901-360-8255. Get in the zone, AutoZone. But he was, I know for sure, at Mitchell. Then he left Mitchell to go around the neighborhood, and he ends up at Whitehaven. And he won a state championship there. He's been at Vanderbilt, and now he's coming back here. So you think about this. You lose Cody Topper and Rasheed Wallace. And what do you got? Now you got Frank Haith and Faraji Phillips. I think because he's been involved a lot in the recruiting. Sean Phil, oh my gosh, I'm having one of those senior moments. Sean Forrest. Sean Forrest is a heck of a coach. He's sort of like was an analytics guy and a special assistant to Penny. He was on the staff at SMU for Larry Brown. That was kind of the combination there. So I got a feeling he'll be in the mix, and Larry Brown, maybe they'll switch roles. I don't know for sure. But I think, man, that's a heck of a coaching assistant crew that Penny has put together. He just figures out ways all the time to replenish and maybe get even better. So it's going to be a fun year. But we wait to see what the IARP decision will be. We'll probably have to wait until September for all of that. We're going to ask you to wait just a couple of seconds here, and Tim Doolin's going to join us on baseball, sitting in the Family Leisure Studio where the Vacation at Home sale may be winding down in July. They're going to have a 4th of July sale, don't you think? I'll bet Lindsay and all those people there they're cooking up something great that you'll get. But right now, you'll get play gyms and trampolines at a reduction of $500, and hot tubs. If you pick it up yourself, you get $1,000 off. The best is the pools. Any pool on the lot, if you pick it up and install it yourself, if you're a do-it-yourselfer, you'll save $1,500, and you'll be the hit of the neighborhood. Oh, yeah, because it's going to get hot again. Family Leisure, where the sale is hot. The Vacation at Home sale at I-40 and Witten Road. Tim Doolin is right around the corner. Don't go anywhere. This is Wolo and Friends.
Let former Memphis Tiger Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy take you home every afternoon with Sports Time on Sports 56. Weekdays from 3 to 6 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I love my Boomerang clients. This is Sheldon Rosengarten and Marks Bensdorf Realtors. Recently, I had clients move back to Memphis who reminded me that I sold their home here 18 years ago. They asked if I'd represent them again when purchasing, and I said of course. And I just represented another couple in their purchase and talked about how I sold them their current home 25 years ago. These are Boomerang clients. That is a testimonial to what I do, not just how long I've been in the real estate business. And while the market has evolved and changed, I stay in front of it, providing clients the absolute best and most honest and truthful representation that 40 years in real estate can bring. So if you're thinking of selling your home or making a life-altering move, call me. I can provide information about what you might do, what to avoid to make everything easier. Find out why people often say that when you want the job done, call Shell Dunn. You can reach me at 483-0546 or memphisrelocate.com. At Shell Dunn Rosengarten, 483-0546 or memphisrelocate.com.
Hey friends, Bill Russell, and it's June, and that's the month for brides. So many marriages happen in June, and that means that there are a lot of happy couples this month. It also means there are a lot of folks who have anniversaries in June. A lot of men who need to remind their wives how much they love them now. For 5 decades at Russell Brothers, we've been helping fellas show their wives that after however many years, they love and appreciate those sweethearts now even more than they did on their wedding day. With a new ring or a pair of diamond earrings, perhaps a beautiful sapphire bracelet or a stunning emerald pendant, we have so many ways to say thank you and say I love you. Men, if you have an anniversary this month, you need to remind her in a tangible way that you know how remarkably wonderful she is. Special gifts for special ladies at Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers, 4646 Poplar at Perkins.
Hey, Mid-South, the Make the Switch event is on now at Gossett, and we're ready to put you in a new ride today. Have you been looking for the perfect vehicle for you and your family, but you're finding inventory's at its lowest? Well, we have the solution at Gossett. Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram, Fiat on the Pike. Stop the searching, stop the begging for a good deal. Come to Gossett, and we'll order the perfect vehicle for you at no extra charge. It'll be the color, the extras, the one you want to drive every day, all day long. Gossett will order the perfect vehicle just for you. It's easy, won't take long, won't break the bank, won't make you wait for hours. We'll order what you want at Gossett, 1901 Covington Pike. You won't be paying for market adjustments or added costs you can't even figure out. And you will not pay more than MSRP for your new Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram, or Fiat. Now is the time that you drive past the rest and come to the best. Gossett, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram, Fiat. Online, GossettMotorCars.net.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All pricing includes all rebates and incentives, excludes tax, title, and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 6/30/2022. Dealer stock only.
Getaway Sports Bar, the best kept secret in town. Open noon to 1:30 a.m. 7 days a week. Garvin, the owner, created this SEC NFL Dream Bar over 20 years ago. You'll never miss a minute of action. 10 TVs, 5 70-inch TVs for all the big games. Rack them up on 6 pool tables. Coldest beer in town. Grab you a pool stick and get you some good bar grub. 100% Angus burgers, big and moist chicken tenders. Daily happy hour Monday through Friday, 2 to 6 p.m. with long neck domestics, 225 Getaway Sports Bar, 4632 Winchester.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
You heard the announcer, man. Our title sponsors, Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch. That is where you will never pay more than sticker price on a new car. New cars are coming in all the time, and that's the way they work. They take care of you at Homer Skelton Hyundai. They don't take advantage of the times. So we know there's a shortage of cars. Some know the law side of supply and demand, and some dealerships hike that price. That won't happen. That's why so many people keep coming back for years to the place with all the great Hyundais and those Genesis cars, and they keep getting new cars in. I saw some new G70s on the lot. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai at the corner of Craft Road, first exit in Mississippi and Highway 78. Tim Doolin joins us now. In all your time watching college baseball, watching all the stars, sending people to colleges. Have you ever seen a story like Ole Miss, that terrible start after being number one, 7-14 in the SEC for a while, and last team in, number 64, and they go all the way to win the College World Series? I mean, they only lost one game in postseason, Tim. That's crazy.
That's crazy. It really is. We talked about it last week as well. And, I mean, not just Ole Miss, but Oklahoma was in the same boat. I mean, Skip Johnson was on the hot seat from the beginning of the season and had to put something together. And then they started out super slow. And then here they were, the two teams that you would have least expected it get to the finals. And Ole Miss obviously got hot at the right time and just played phenomenal baseball. They got pitching performances by guys that typically they wouldn't expect to. Hunter Elliott, who played with me in his younger age group, just really, really a mentally tough kid. And the moment obviously wasn't too big for him. And Ole Miss, it's a great story. It's a great story to go down in college baseball history for sure.
Yeah, that basically cements your legacy, doesn't it? For Mike Bianco, 22 years, a lot of close calls, on the verge of getting tossed, as you mentioned, being let go, and here he gets a College World Series championship, which, by the way, that is the first national collegiate championship on the resume for the Ole Miss Rebels.
Well, I mean, I think it's definitely fitting, and it'll be. I can tell you, they're going to enjoy it. One of the things that's really interesting. I'm in Hoover, Alabama, at a big 17U event, and a lot of college coaches here. Tony Vitello, a lot of other SEC schools are here. You're going to see the baseball portal and the NIL deals going through the roof over the next couple of months. I can assure you.
Because of the popularity of the sport now, and look at those crowds everywhere in all these SEC schools, East Carolina in the American, Tulane sometimes draws well. I imagine if this thing really gets going at the U of M like I think it will, that they'll draw big crowds. Do you think we'll get to the point where coaches will be able to lobby the NCAA and say, we need more than the scholarship limit that we have right now?
Well, that's got to happen. If you're going to get some kind of balance in the NIL and the ability for players to transfer and be immediately eligible, they better do something to assist the mid-majors, because if they don't, it's like we talked about here. And Carrick's down here. We talked about this the other day at one of the auxiliary fields about the portal. If you're a mid-major and you get a guy that dominates as a freshman on the mound, say, he's leaving. He's going to go to the SEC. A, because it's the SEC, and B, they're going to pay him. A kid just transferred from North Carolina, hit 20-some-odd home runs, and he's transferring to LSU, and he got a 10-year deal from Marucci as an NIL deal. So, I mean, you can call it what you want, but they're going to pay players to go to school.
They're paying coaches too, because I have this in my notes. The Minnesota Twins, they have a pitching coach named Wes Johnson.
Yeah, Wes Johnson. Yep.
He is leaving the major leagues, and the Twins, who, by the way, are leading the American League Central, he's leaving Major League Baseball to be a pitching coach for LSU. What?
Well, he was at Arkansas.
I know,
and he was well known as one of the top
pitching coaches.
One of the top. I'm sorry, we got games going on. I'm sorry, Wolo.
That's okay.
Anyway, so he leaves Arkansas to go to the Twins, and now he's going to more than double his salary to go to LSU. And so that just tells you how much they're valuing really good coaches, and how much they're paying these guys is ridiculous.
Well, that's amazing to me. So, like, you're telling me a major league pitching coach, and the Twins are lamenting the loss. They're telling you how great this guy is. They're losing him to a college baseball program that's going to pay him twice as much? What is he making?
There you go.
What's he making?
He was making, I think, around $400,000. They're going to double it to probably $800,000. Probably might even be more with certain kind of deals. But the bottom line is he's very good, and he's known as a developer of pitchers, and he's very up to snuff on all of the analytics and all the sabermetrics and the biokinetics of the pitching. And so when you're at LSU and you got deep alumni, that's what's going to happen.
Wow. I am flabbergasted that college baseball can pay more than the major leagues. That blows me away. And you know, I don't think the head baseball coach at the U of M is approaching $800,000. I could be wrong, but
No, in most places.
yeah, wow, that is quite a story. You know, the other part of the story that I think is interesting is the state of Mississippi. I don't know how many players from Mississippi State and Ole Miss are actually from the Magnolia State, but I mean, you think about it, the last two champions come from that state.
Well, and not only, there's great junior college baseball in the state of Mississippi as well. So it's not, you know, what's funny is I talk to a lot of scouts and a lot of scouting directors, and they'll always beat up Mississippi about, oh, they don't, you know, how many big leaguers that they put out, and they frown upon the high school baseball in Mississippi. And I wouldn't say the high school baseball in Mississippi is as good as California or Texas, but there are some really good freaking players that come out of the state of Mississippi, and it's obvious in what you just said with Mississippi State winning it last year and Ole Miss winning it this year, and then you had a junior college team, I think, win the Junior College World Series as well. So I think it's good for baseball and obviously good for the Southeast.
All right, talk to me about the Mariners and the Angels and a real brawl where there was a lot of dislike there, and it almost got out of hand. 12 guys now suspended.
Well, first of all, I mean, it's part of the game, but when it gets to a point where if I throw at your guy and you throw at my guy, and then all of a sudden you're throwing at people's heads, that's not cool. And hitting a guy in the ribs, okay. Hitting a guy in the ass, okay. But not throwing at guys' heads. I mean, because there was one ball thrown at Trout that, I mean, he's lucky he got out of the way of it.
Right.
And to be honest with you, I've never told a pitcher to hit a batter because I don't want to be responsible for if it gets away from him. And yeah, big league guys are better than, you know, amateur players, but you know, you've also seen the issues with the ball being slippery and not allowing to use stuff to grip it. I mean, that's not a comfortable feeling as a hitter, and you're facing guys throwing upwards to 100 miles an hour. That especially if it's a young guy and he doesn't know where the ball's going, that's not fun.
Well, that was the first time I can remember, because it was for real. These guys were really upset with one another. It was the first
well, and
time.
That's why, because you start affecting guys, you get in guys' livelihood, and especially the one, you know, arguably the greatest player in the game, and you throw it at his head.
Yeah,
and he could say I wasn't throwing his head. Maybe he wasn't, but he threw it way too close to get to him.
But my point is this: it's the first time I felt like there's no way four umpires can stop if these two teams really want to go at each other. No way.
No, you're not stopping it. You're not stopping. There's no way you're going to stop it. And so you just hope that they get control of it sooner in the games than they did. But players police the game, and they got to do a better job of not attacking guys above the shoulders. That's it.
What is the biggest surprise to you so far in the bigs this year? It could be a statistical thing. It could be a team. But is there something as we now get close to July and we're 70, 80 games in?
I wish I could say yes, but I mean, to me, there's just a lot of things that we're used to have happening. Whether it's the typical NL Central division being the Brewers and the Cardinals. and the Cardinals, and I think the Yankees obviously. On paper every year are really good. Now all of a sudden they're playing like they're supposed to.
Boston, but, we knew Toronto was going to be good. The Rays would be good. Boston, I think, is a pretty good story.
Yeah, no, I mean, Boston's always a good story because they have a great manager and he's got a feel for it,
Yeah.
And I think they're like the Red Sox are now kind of like the Cardinals. You just never count those guys out because they've got a really good pipeline in the minor leagues. And by the way, Blaze Jordan was named Player of the Week in High A in Salem for the second time this month. He's starting to catch on fire, and I think he's going to start advancing through their system relatively fast, to be honest with you.
So do you think he could be a September call-up?
No. He's nowhere close to that. He's only 19, but he's and they're not going to rush guys like him because he's, so young. The one thing you don't want to do with a young prospect is move them too fast and then have to send them back down.
Right.
Going backwards is not it doesn't matter how tough you are mentally. So there's no rush in him, but he's doing the things he needs to do. I think he's got over 20-something doubles, and we're not even halfway through the season yet, and about 7 home runs. So, and playing a good third base, so he's getting to play third and first.
The Astros have been injured like crazy, yet continue to win like crazy.
Dusty Baker and veteran players, and then they've got a great minor league system. They're able to call guys up that are going to produce for them, and they've got kind of the Cardinal way. They've got their own, by now, because they've had some success over the last 7-8 years. They've got their own way of doing things, I think.
Well, what's interesting is they've had all the injuries, and yet they prosper. You take a look at the White Sox; they've had a million injuries, but they are struggling.
Yeah, well, that is what it is, and so it's such a long season for these guys, and you're going to have injuries, and I think you're going to continue to have injuries as long as especially from the pitching perspective, as long as you're preaching to guys, go out there and throw as hard as you can, as long as you can, and then we'll just reload, because your arms aren't made like, to do that, and we call it kind of max effort stuff,
I was having this conversation with my friend and sportscaster George Hoffman in Chicago, and we started looking things up. There used to be 3-inning saves when bullpens really got set up where you were pitching guys almost every day. There used to be 3-inning saves. There's never a 3-inning save anymore, unless it's like a long guy that you brought in and he's just gotten good that day.
Yeah, well, and it's not. I think you're going to see a balance come back a little bit over the next several years, but not anytime soon. And you're going to have to see some of the analytics that these guys are preaching, saying it works, and when it doesn't work, you're going to see hopefully them go back to some traditional thought processes.
All right, my friend, go enjoy your tournament. We'll look forward to seeing you back in Memphis, and we'll talk next week.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. That is Tim Doolin on baseball. He is brought to you in part by the Eflin Insurance Group. There's a Tiger lover. He loved watching Tim Doolin play baseball. And, he does – he literally does insurance different than everybody else. It's called collaboration. He really is a team guy. He sits down, and guess what? He gets to know you and your family and what your needs may be and what your budget may be, and he takes all of this into account, chatting with you and figuring out the best way to protect you. That could be for life insurance. That could be for a home program. That could be for auto insurance. And by the way, if you are a business owner, and especially a small to mid-sized business, there's another Eflin Insurance specialty. They are just absolutely terrific when it comes to taking care of you, finding out about your business, forecasting it out several years, and finding, with your budget, the perfect protection. All you got to do is call 901-386-4777. By the way, that's GER for Tigers. 901-386-4777. That's the number for the Eflin Insurance team. And our title sponsor, it's Homer, where you'll never pay more than sticker price. We're back in just a minute. We'll chat with Pete Pranica on all Grizzlies fronts. He's next.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, folks. Bob Burkheim for Sunrise Buick GMC Truck. It's our 34th anniversary of Sunrise, and we're celebrating with a sale and savings that are bigger than ever. Over 600 new and used cars and trucks to choose from with huge Sunrise savings. See the entire inventory at sunrisememphis.com. Hundreds of pre-owned vehicles with a lot specializing in cars and trucks under $10,000. Credit not so hot? It's okay. At Sunrise, we specialize in secondary credit and have financing for everyone. New cars and trucks aren't free, but at least they're affordable at the 34th anniversary sale going on now at all Sunrise locations. Covington, Pike, Wolf Chase, and Collierville.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
If you have damage to your home and have your insurance carrier involved, you need a great contractor. You also need a team that has seen claims of all shapes and sizes, residential or commercial. After our inspection, we'll share our findings and give you our professional opinion. Some people say you get what you pay for. However, our opinion is free. Trust the name you can depend on, like the tens of thousands of families Brian and I have served over the past 20 years here in the Mid-South. Brian Elder Roofing. We'll measure your roof from outer space and share our team's experience for your property and claim. Repaired roofs, replacement roofs, big roofs, tiny roofs, insurance roofs, flat roofs, TPO roofs, asphalt roofs, tile roofs, slate roofs, metal roofs. If your roof needs some love, call me. 901-867-0303 for Brian Elder Roofing and Contracting.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Summer is in full swing and the deals are heating up at Lowe's. Find 4th of July savings to keep your yard looking healthy the whole season. Protect your soil from the heat with a bag of Scott's Naturescapes mulch, now 3 for $10. And celebrate the 4th with our select 2.5-quart red, white, and blue annuals, 2 for $10. Find more savings this 4th of July at Lowe's. Home to any budget, home to any possibility. Valid 6/23 through 7/6 while supplies last. Annuals offer in-store only. Actual plant size and selection varies by location. Excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
Welcome to Triumph Auto Sales, where you'll have a great car buying experience. Triumph Auto Sales is your #1 source of quality pre-owned vehicles ranging from lease returns to new car trades, all at huge savings. Plus, Triumph has a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Find your next car online at triumphautosales.com or stop in today at 4875 Elmore Road. Triumph Auto Sales will help you get the vehicle you want at the price you need and the service you deserve. For a great car and a great experience from a local and family-owned business, visit Triumph Auto Sales.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome back in. We're talking about waiting free agency starting tomorrow. We're getting news. John Wall, by the way, looks like he's going to accept a buyout. He's taken, I want to say, $6.5 million less, which means he was going to get $47.5 million. $41.5 million, he's going to become a Clipper and get a new deal with them. Not a bad deal for John Wall. Kyrie Irving has opted in. He's going to stay in Brooklyn. We're going to talk about these free agency deals and the draft with the TV voice of the Grizzlies, Pete Pranica, in a second. He's brought to you by Ken Garland. Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. You want that dream house? You want that modern renovation? You love where you are. You love your lot. You love your old home, but you want the modern amenities. The guy to go and visit with is Ken Garland. He's rare. He sees little details, but the big picture all at once works very closely because he knows the commitment you're making, so he works very closely with you. And I want you to take a look at his stuff. Go to kengarland.com and then call 751-1632, whether it is the dream home or that renovation. He's your guy, Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. To Southwind we go. Pete is kind enough to spend some time in the middle of a round. We appreciate that, Mr. Pranica. I guess I should ask you, Southwind, is it getting into shape for the pros who are coming in about, 5 weeks?
Very much so. Very much so. Members or guests, you come out here, you're playing a tour quality course pretty much at its peak. They've cut the grass such that we know there's a tournament coming real soon, and the greens have been punched and sanded, and they're running like a basic pool table right about now. So if you come out here, it could be a long afternoon, but a beautiful day like today, you don't want to not be out here.
Well, I hope you're playing well. We appreciate it. Tell me, what do you expect starting Thursday, free agency? How active will the Grizzlies be?
Well, I mean, clearly they do have a certain amount of cap room, but you've also got to take care of your own free agents or make decisions at least on those free agents. Tyus Jones, my personal feeling is you'd love to have him back because he was as valuable a player to this team as just about anybody, particularly with John missing as many games as he did. So I think that's going to be the first domino to fall. What are the Grizzlies going to be able to do with their own free agents? What are the decisions? And then, what are the financials? And once that becomes apparent, then we'll see what they're able to do.
It seems to me with LaRavia and Roddy, that they have chosen wing guys and that Kyle Anderson, the other free agent besides Tyus Jones, is most likely not going to be around. Is that a fair assessment?
I think that part of the reason that you wanted LaRavia is because he is a well-rounded player in the mold of a Kyle Anderson. Maybe not as good defensively as Kyle is, but kind of the same player. And I think it was a contingency pick. Certainly, they liked LaRavia. They had him in for a workout. They had him in, I understand, for an interview. They really, really liked him. So I think that's insurance or a backup in case Kyle is still with us.
Boy, and then Roddy is he the same kind of a guy? I know Memphis played Colorado State. Roddy did not stand out in my mind, but I will tell you, looking at all these different agencies that do assessments, he grades out pretty darn strong. And again, both moves by Zach Kleiman, like almost every time he's drafted anybody, he's moved up because he identified the guy he wanted and went after him.
Yeah, that's exactly the way Zach approaches the draft. It's not, well, we're going to sit at our position and hope that somebody falls to us, or we hope that our guy is there. It's more about we're identifying an individual that we want. Last year was Zaire Williams, and this year obviously was Jake LaRavia, and they were big fans of Roddy as well. I think, Roddy is going to be potentially a very good role player for this team, maybe a little undersized at 6'5" height-wise, but he's got some bulk, he's got some physicality, and despite the fact he's got bulk and physicality, he's got great footwork, he's a good outside shooter. So, I think he's another piece to add to the depth of this Grizzlies team.
And even a move made to move up in the second round to get Kennedy Chandler, and a lot of people were surprised he even made the second round. What are your thoughts about him? I guess the biggest question mark would be his size.
Yeah, Chris Paul's 6'2".
I know.
So I mean, yeah, obviously there would be concerns about size, but there are a lot of things that was it Charles Barkley? What was he, like 6'6"? He was a great rebounder, so you don't want to get hung up too much on the numbers. The other thing too about Kennedy is he led the combine with a 41.5-inch vertical. So he's got some levitation ability like John Morant. Again, I don't know necessarily that he ends up being the backup point guard. Of course, we don't know what's going to happen with Tyus Jones or how the Grizzlies deal with that whole situation. But certainly he's a hometown kid. He's a bright kid, great future, I think. And the Grizzlies, as Zach Kleiman admitted, we didn't think we were going to get four guys. And when you see Kennedy Chandler there, they're like, let's get this guy. And they made the move with San Antonio to get that pick. And like I said, the Grizzlies identify guys that they like, and they make the requisite deal to make sure that they get them.
Were you surprised Anthony Melton was dealt?
At some point, you're going to have to part with some of your guys, and they were very much enamored with Roddy, and so they had to make that deal. I mean, DeAnthony Melton meant a lot to this franchise. Regular season DeAnthony was very good. Postseason DeAnthony, he struggled a little bit. And so, it's a matter of evaluating on a year-to-year basis. And one of the things you can't do as a general manager is fall in love with your players. And as popular as DeAnthony was, sometimes you gotta make those hard decisions. And they went ahead and they pulled the trigger on that deal. I hate it because I love DeAnthony, but hopefully things work out for him in Philadelphia for 80 of the 82 games.
There you go. Vince Williams, tell me what you know about the kid from VCU.
He's a kid who can get buckets. He's got a real good attitude about scoring the basketball. VCU is a very good program, and he was one of their highlight players. So I'm really looking forward to seeing these guys in Summer League. I've had a lot of people ask me, what do you think of the draft? I said, I haven't seen these guys in short pants yet play at the NBA level. And so it's always hard to evaluate. But they're going to get a lot of time in Summer League in both Salt Lake City and Las Vegas, and I'm very eager to see how these guys produce against NBA-level competition, at least at the Summer League level.
Yeah, and there are, I believe, 3 in Utah and 5 in Vegas, 8 games total in a pretty short period of time, like over 2 weeks. Will we have access to those games on NBA TV? Are you doing any of those games?
As of right now, I am not scheduled to do any games. I am going to go to Las Vegas. All of the games in Salt Lake City and all of the games in Vegas will be available on either the ESPN networks or NBA TV. So everything will be available on either of those two platforms.
So when you say ESPN, it's more like ESPN Plus, right?
No, ESPNU and ESPN2.
Wow.
So no, not yeah. And in fact, part of the reason that I didn't get a call from NBA TV is ESPN. Their two platforms have taken up more summer league games than they've taken them from NBA TV, because I think they realize that summer league has just become a massive property with tremendous interest. And so ESPNU, ESPN2, I think will have the bulk of the summer league games, and NBA TV will have the rest.
Yeah, it's phenomenal the way the marketing has gone with the NBA, because here you go, you're in the middle of June before you finally complete all your playoffs, and the numbers of interest in that are out the roof. Then you got your draft. Then you're off like a week or two, not even that, and you start free agency. Then you got summer league. So really here you are, you're only off August and September before you begin again. It's like a 10-month cycle.
Yeah, it's become almost like the NFL. The NFL has become a 12-month-a-year league, and really the way the NBA is going, it's becoming very close to that. And we're just happy to be on more of a regular schedule, because last year the draft was late, summer league was in August, and you had a real truncated run-up to the start of the season. We're back on a more normal schedule, and I think we're all grateful for that.
Pete, we're grateful for your time this morning. I'm sure we'll talk to you in the next month or so after Summer League. We'll get your assessment of that. We appreciate it and hope you hit them well at Southwind.
Well, birdied 11. That's been the highlight of the day. But,
man.
I got very, very lucky bounce and a 3-foot putt. But I will be in Vegas, so I will have eyes on the Grizzlies firsthand, even though I'm not calling the games. I will be there, and I'm really looking forward to that.
All I can say is you got 3 feet on 11. That tells me when you get to Vegas, start betting.
Which is ironic, because I'm not a gambler.
I know. All right, my friend. Enjoy.
All right, take care, Wolo.
That is Pete Prenica, TV voice of the Grizz. He's on a golf course. I was on a golf course yesterday. Actually, I went to go play Overton Park and found out they close on Mondays now for maintenance. And they just opened the place, but they're going to make sure it is beautiful. They close Whitehaven on Monday, too. Every week, I should say, they take care of these golf courses with an off day to make sure they are in top shape. I can't wait for Pine Hill to open up. I can't wait for those greens. And I think we're 6 weeks away still on Fox Meadows, because Fox Meadows is in great shape. The only thing have been the greens for a while, and they're putting in the brand new Hybrid Bermuda, which is the best. They take care of, they've invested in golf in this city. And I ended up walking at Galloway. You play the ball down there, it is ideal. Both Audubon and Galloway are in the best shape they have ever been. If you have not played a Memphis City golf course in a while, you don't know what you're missing. Go check it out. You can thank me later. We will thank Tim Doolin and Pete Prenica and let you know tomorrow we will make golf picks, and I will come to you from Old Waverly. Can't wait for that. In the meantime, Johnny Radio is next. Have a great day, everyone.
Add a little excitement to your sports watching experience by betting on all the action on FanDuel Sportsbook. There's a reason why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Their app